Wrote one of the most popular episodes in the history of Star Trek, and we'll be right back after these announcements. Joining us now, Mr. Harlan Ellison, who is no stranger to this audience. Mr. Ellison was on our all-night program. We did a show on science fiction writing with Harlan and Gene Roddenberry and others, including Ray Bradbury out in Los Angeles a little over a year ago. And Harlan wrote what many people consider to be one of the finest episodes of Star Trek, a program called City on the Edge of Forever. It won a Hugo, which is the Science Fiction Award that year, and also the Best Outstanding Dramatic Presentation of that season on television. Joining us also Al Schuster, who has been producing Star Trek conventions around the country ever since the Star Trek phenomenon resurfaced. Harlan, how are you, my friend? All right? Have we told any lies out here about the show or the effort that went into it?
Well, I'm getting...
You're always the keeper of truth?
Yeah, well, I know all these fellows, and they're truthful people, but I'm afraid I was developing diabetes from all the sweetness and light. That's all.
Well, we can be prepared for a little sour then, eh?
No.
Well, it wasn't all sweetness and light, but backstage things happen. There are arguments, are there not? Huh?
There were those, yes. I didn't work for the show after I did my one segment.
Why not?
I felt that they had mucked it up badly. And it took, I think, 6 or 7 years before Gene Roddenberry and I even spoke to each other again after the show. The thing that always troubled me about the series was that there was always the feeling that they were presenting great moral messages, and to me they were always very lightweight. And anytime you tried to really deal with what Faulkner called the human heart in conflict with itself, either the network or the production, people said, no, our characters wouldn't act that way. In other words, they always had to be heroes.
It's amazing how they know how characters would act. They know how hair should look, how ties should be tied, how teeth should be fixed. They know all those things in the offices. It's amazing.
The thing that really amazes me is what you call the Star Trek phenomena. I did a convention here in town just a week or so ago, and 30,000 people were there, riots. Somebody hit Shatner with a pie. Pie kill. Yeah, somebody hired pie kill. Did you know about that?
Yes, I walked out on stage shortly after that happened.
Al, what goes on at these things? What do you do? Do you show the films or?
Certainly, that's just part of it. The actors, these fellows all here, Harlan, come out and speak, come out and do their shtick, whatever it is. There are several other aspects to the convention. There's a large dealer's room. All sorts of things are sold. This medallion, tribbles. Like
yeah,
those.
What are these? Tell what these are. I don't remember.
Hairballs.
Yes.
Fuzzballs. They're very similar, very akin to the pet rocks that are floating around now. There's a big fad. But tribbles were the creation of one episode of Star Trek.
And David Gerrold, who created it.
David Gerrold, obviously, the man who wrote
Tribbles actually gave birth to the pet rocks. There are several tribbles in existence that have been known to give birth to a... help me out, will you please?
Come on, you got yourself in
A pet rock is a tribble with hardening of the arteries.
Thank you.
We didn't understand that.
Now, when you fellas come out at the convention, do you make a talk or do you have set routines? Like, what do you do?
Come out, we make a talk, and then we go into a question and answer thing. That seems to be what they want to do. They want to talk to you. They want to communicate and ask you questions about yourself, about the show, experiences on show, that sort of thing.
What do you think would happen if it came back on primetime?
I think it would do very nicely indeed.
Look at what is it, Space 1999, that's in syndication? They're going for a second year now.
And it's a LOX, and it's doing well enough. Clearly, the public is ready for science fiction. They want something good. Well, I'm sorry. What am I going to do? Am I going to lie to you? You bring me on, you know I'll tell you the truth.
I know you'll tell me the truth, but is it highly possible, in the truth as you perceive it, sir, that television is simply not equipped to deal with what you want to put on a 19-inch diagonal tube?
No, the truth of the matter is that television is the best medium that has ever been devised, including the print medium, for dealing with fantasy. The problem lies in the fact that the moguls, none of whom are creators, they're all, failed agents or failed CPAs or failed, whatever they are.
Ex-booth announcers,
massage parlor guys. Who the hell knows what they do for a living when they're not, messing our lives up? They don't understand.
What'd you used to do? WIOX-TV, Lansing.
Right.
Hey, great, couldn't do it. Now I'm in here planning your life for you. Yeah.
They see machinery, and they think that's what science fiction is, and it isn't. It's people, and it's the effect of the future on people. They cannot get it through their heads. This year, all three of the major networks are looking, in quotes, for a science fiction project. And when one is offered to them, they say, well, no, we don't understand that. I don't explain it to you. And I had a meeting
If you have to do that, you're lost.
Oh, yeah, the instant
Right?
you explain it, yeah, right. It's
Right
like
off the
telling
bat.
him the plot of Moby Dick. Well, it's a nut chasing a big fish, right? listen, I'm about to talk myself out of a job. I mean, the movie, the Star Trek movie, right? There have been 967 writers called in on this project. Last word, there was no script. They got a director, they got a start date, no script. I think they're going to stand there and whistle. Who knows? Roddenberry called me in. He says, you know, he was really desperate to call me in, and he said, let's try.
Like you said, you're about to blow a job, huh? Right?
Oh, look, no, Gene knows what I'm going to say. Gene's cool. We came in and we thought up an idea. Paramount keeps saying to them, no matter what plot they offer them, it's not big enough. It's not big enough, right?
That's what he was saying.
Right,
It's gotta
except
be
in one
big.
of them we destroyed the universe. We thought that was big enough. No, it wasn't big enough. So,
It's like on the news, world ends, details at 10. You
how
know?
about if we go into space and find Jim Audrey and find out he's God, right? So, anyhow, I have a meeting with a guy from Paramount, the guy who's the liaison. He's the interface between the great powers on the
You
far
know why I held you till after 1:30? You know, a few people go to bed, like Jim Aubrey might be gone now. You know, I don't want you to lose it all when you're out here.
Listen, I must have a suicide complex. I wouldn't be in Hollywood to begin with. We come in for we get a story. It's a super duper story. Gene and I work it out, and it's all solid. So in comes this tum-tum from the head office, and he's going to listen to it. We explain the whole thing to him. It's complex, but it's fascinating. It goes back to the dawn of time and a parallel species that grew up with humankind, and so on and so on, and the whole thing. When you get all done, he sits there and goes, He says, well, you know, I was reading Von Daniken, and, you know, the Mayan calendar is the same as our calendar. Why don't you put in some Mayans? We said, Mayans? He says, yeah, why don't you put in the Mayans? That's terrific. And Gene and I kind of look at each other like, we tried to explain to him there were no Mayans at the dawn of time. He didn't understand that. So he said, well, I'll tell it to Stummy, whatever his name was up in the tower, and that was that. So
And we'll get back to you.
yeah, and they never do.
Yeah. Oh, no.
No.
Listen, we're going to have to fire you. Oh, yeah? When am I through? Well, we'll get back to you.
It's like the Red Queen's race. You got to run as fast as you can to stay in the same place.
What was your first convention like? Was it a smash?
Certainly.
The very first one?
Yes, surprisingly so. We anticipated probably 400 or 500 people would show up. Almost 3,000 showed up. Statler Hilton Hotel in 71. I'm sorry, 72, January 9th.
And how many of these do you run a year?
Well, in the past I was only running one, but in the last few months I've put on 3 conventions. One in August in Philadelphia, one in over January 1st weekend in Washington, D.C., where incidentally I had a transporter mechanism brought in. It's the first time it's ever been shown at a Star Trek convention. It worked very similar to the transporter effect shown on television. It came out of Chicago Creative Presentations. It's
What does it do?
it makes people appear.
It's magic.
Yeah, and we materialize.
Right. You mean
Lights
They
and mirrors.
materialize on stage.
Oh, I see. I see.
Literally materialize on
I
stage.
mean, people don't disintegrate and go across the room and...
Well, it looks like it.
It looks suspiciously like it.
If they had the
that's what
sparkles
happens.
and everything else there, it would look like it. Absolutely.
Can I put a couple of
Beautiful.
network heads in that thing? Make it
We didn't lose anybody.
There's going to be another convention. Now, that's, what, 3 in a row?
3 in a row in
Commodore
New York.
Phil.
Do you fellas who were in the series, do you like going to these conventions, truthfully? Or sometimes you say to yourself, I just don't want to go to another convention.
I feel that way.
It's getting that way.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. I have the
Yeah.
feeling that you feel that way.
I haven't gone to too many of them, and I'm getting a little tired of it.
I got a
I'm
quote for
lazy
you.
anyhow, so it's...
Hold the quote for a couple of minutes. I got these full announcements. Last break we have, so we'll get them out of the way, and we'll be right back and hear a quote from Harlan
I
Ellison.
won equal time.
Never mention that.
No, of course not. Of course not.
No.
You know, why louse up a recip, you know what I mean?
No, I'm cool.
Okay, now here's the quote.
All right, this is a quote from a book.
Incidentally, is the movie script, you have no script, you said. That's not progressed one iota
As far
beyond.
as I know, as of yesterday afternoon, there was no script. Gene was, I understand, working with other writers. Who they may be, God only knows. Whether there'll be a script or not, I don't know.
But you're off the movie.
As far as they haven't gotten back to me.
But Tom, got a note from Gene Roddenberry, which I think is interesting. He said, we have a starting date,
Yeah.
July 15th,
Yeah.
but we don't have a script. But he said, what the hell? He said, there are a lot of people who have scripts that don't have a starting date.
Beautiful. Did he mention a year?
No, he didn't mention
a year.
So, well, we'll get back to you.
Okay. Quote.
Okay, this is from a book review of a paperback that came out that was marketed as, if you like Star Trek, you'll love this book, okay? And the critic, John Kurlovich, said, The ever-spreading influence of that, he says, still there remains the fascinating question of why the author of this book didn't latch on to a better model for a novel than Star Trek. The ever-spreading influence of that show is now an undeniable fact. A good deal has been said and written about this phenomenon, but many seem to agree that the program's advocates, whatever else they are appallingly indiscriminate. What can one make of a mentality that not only condones mediocrity, but believes it to be something good, something decidedly worth emulating? Now that is the most dead-on quote I've ever heard about the Star Trek phenomenon. As good as the show may have been, at best, all it is really is a television show. There are no great conventions of 30,000 people going to discuss Proust's Remembrance of Things Past. There are not people dashing in to pay homage to Ralph Nader, the Ralph Nader convention. This was a, plain and simple, is a kind of hero worship that is on the same plane with the Beatles, on the same plane with, you know, Elvis Presley or Jacqueline Suzanne books. It's better for TV, but what we're talking about again is that great swamp of television drama, which at best never touches, you know, even the middle range of what is done in other medium. Ta-da!
Okay, but I think you need a frame of reference. Now, what do you cannot translate or cannot transcribe the quality of a novel and compare that to the quality of a television show.
Why not?
Because they're apples and oranges. That's why. You can't. We know that from our personal experience. I'm doing that science fiction seminar. I took some of the finest novelists, fantasy novelists, and had professional actors read from them, and it was dull because it doesn't translate. It's not theater. It's not necessarily theater.
Well, but that wasn't drama. That was a straight reading. What we're talking about is the difference between the best of the Star Trek episodes and any one segment of, say, Rich Man, Poor Man, which is running on another network. And clearly you can take, you know, meaningful gut-level material and translate it to a television medium so that you don't insult the viewers.
Yes, but now here's something that's quite interesting. You mentioned Rich Man, Poor Man, which is running on ABC. Now, Irwin Shaw's book was a wonderful book to read, I thought. I enjoyed the book, all right? I read an account of that show in one of the news magazines this week where they say that it's poorly written, poorly presented, and that it really isn't worth all the trouble of watching.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, Newsweek or Time had a little one of their little quick shots.
All I can say is I watched it, and I was fascinated.
I didn't read the book. I watched it. I thought, great.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
You know?
But there's always somebody who will take what's on television, and we're all guilty of it. Like this guy who wrote this here, and what you're saying tonight is going to say, well, it's no good. Yet here's something that you think is of value, but I can give you 4 opinions where they say, well, it's of no value.
No, he didn't say it's bad. What he said is it's mediocre. And that, I think, is the crime. Bad, I can understand. I mean, I can even understand someone making a motion picture where they try to do something. I mean, God knows how many of those, where they strive to do something and they fail dismally, but they tried. The best that anything tries to do on Star Trek or anything else on television is to hit that median, which is where they failed because they tried to be a little bit better and they didn't get the Bible Belt. Instead of conscientiously educating a television audience throughout the nation to want better things, they give them one more cop show. Jigsaw John went on the other night. There's another cop show. The Cop and the Kid, that'll last 15 minutes, you know.
What you're doing when you talk about the cop shows is that you're praising Star Trek, really, because Star Trek was much more than any cop show you ever want to see.
No, it was a cop show.
Oh,
Star Trek was a cop show too. Sure, it was spacemen acting like cops.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't you? Didn't you go through the galaxy and straighten things out?
There were a few things.
Come on, you 40.
Really,
Fess up. Come on,
really,
Jimmy.
when it
Didn't you
comes down
fight
to
evil?
the sum total, you know, you can't knock it that way.
I think that every episode of Star Trek did something that they preached in every episode they didn't do, and that was stress violence. I think that there was violence in every episode of Star Trek, as much as they preached that there wasn't, or that man had overcome his violent aspect. There was violence in every episode.
Yeah, but generally it wasn't man. It was some android or some
It was one of those
galactic
terrible
monster.
little green people with, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
But I think that
Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? Anytime they killed someone off, it was always a member of a third world race, right? Go ahead, shoot him. Donnie's green. What does it matter?
we didn't shoot him. We stunned him.
Vulcan nerve pinched him.
Where is that thing that you had out here, that gun?
There you are.
No. You demonstrate what it does, because I don't understand the technology.
That's all right. That's all right.
Go ahead.
Walter.
Go crazy with the gun.
Now, let me see here. We have... That's stun. Can you see that? Stun
Stunning.
force?
Now twist the dial. Right.
That sounds like a triple. I don't know what.
Now, these are for sale at the conventions, huh?
Well, this is a prototype, I believe, that was made by the people at the Federation Trading Post, which is a store devoted entirely to Star Trek stuff.
There's one east and one west.
That's right. You really hated it, didn't you?
No, man, hey, listen.
You wrote your one episode.
No, you know what I
huh?
hate? You know what I hate? Honest to God, I hate...
Reverence for things that don't deserve them. I know you hate that.
Yeah, but I also hate the fact that it's the exploitation of the gullible. I mean, you see the things that these kids buy when they go to these conventions. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars because it's Star Trek affiliated. You know, I mean, if they want to watch the show, Dynamite, let them watch. Better that than they should be out in the street, you know, stealing hubcaps. But they're being really exploited. $12 a day to go and listen to, you know, James Doohan explain the ethical structure of the universe. I mean, this is a bit of exploitation.
I thought it was worth it.
Yet you went to one.
I went for money, man.
He goes for all of
I went for money. They pay me a staggering sum of money, but I don't do a Star Trek gig. I get up and I read my stories. Anybody wants to come and listen to me read my stories, Dynamite, but I do the same thing I would do anyplace else.
Yeah, and they all get up and leave, right?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Brings the audience to their feet as they head for the exits.
I have a limited audience, but they're an intelligent one.
Yeah.
I'd like to, Tom, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, what do we got left? 45 show? Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay. I think you've got to consider Star Trek not as the ultimate in terms of quality television or science fiction on television, but as a departure point. I think it's, without question, the best episodic science fiction that has ever been on television. That doesn't mean that it's the best television that there ever was, but certainly if you consider it as a departure, as a place, as a jumping-off place, then I think you have a very positive attitude about what's going to happen with television and the quality of television. Star Trek broke new roads. I really
8 years
believe
ago, and nothing's happened since, Walter.
that. We're coming back.
Gents,
We're coming back, baby.
I'm out of time. We had another piece of film to show, and I never got it on because we were having such a wonderful time listening to Harlan Ellison tell us that it was all... Sometime you're coming on here, and we're going to tell the stories you've been through in the television industry, and we're going to name the names.
You're on.
Okay, so
You're
are
on.
you. We'll tape it right after we get finished tonight. We'll be right back after these announcements, and I hope all of you will stay tuned.
Yeah, it's not...